It is officially 2026, which means that the iPhone 17 has been out for a little over 3 months at this point. Usually around this time, you've got a pretty good feel on whether or not this was a substantial upgrade, or if Apple just put out the same thing that they did last year. And obviously these opinions are going to vary depending on who you are, but I wanted to go ahead and make a video on my experience so far with specifically the 17 Pro Max, how I feel about it, because I'm coming from a spot where my last iPhone was the 15 Pro, and that was such a terrible experience for me personally that I actually ended up switching to Android for the better part of 2025. I explored the Nothing Phone 3A and the Nothing Phone 3, but my main one was the Galaxy S25 Ultra. My biggest gripes with the 15 Pro was iOS 18 was a disaster. It was buggy, and Apple just wasn't fixing the bugs that I kept coming in contact with. Things like my phone just randomly rebooting. The Photos app was abysmal. They had a terrible design with it. On top of the software, the hardware also just seemed not to work the best. It would always constantly overheat. It would get so hot in my hand, and the battery life was terrible on that phone. It started out pretty okay, and in terms of the photo capabilities, that was a really solid iPhone. But as time went on, it just drastically dropped in terms of performance, more so than any iPhone that I'd had in the past. So this video is not going to be just like a spec breakdown of the 17 Pro Max per se. It's just going to be more or less my personal experience so far with it, and I'm going to compare it a lot to what the iPhone 15 gave me and see whether or not Apple actually fixed a lot of the issues that I encountered with that device. Before we jump into performance, one of the biggest changes of the 17 line was actually the design, and that's something we haven't seen Apple do in a while with the iPhone. I think the last time we got a switch up was really the iPhone like XS to the 11 with that third camera lens, and then the design ever since kind of stuck. If you want to say the 12, sure, because it went back to like the squared edges, but ever since the 12, it's been pretty much the same phone design year in and year out, just with the camera bump getting bigger every year. And so this was the first time we saw Apple kind of branch out, especially with the Pro line. This is, I've said it before, it looks like they were shooting for a more utilitarian, like rugged, just performance-based iPhone with this. Naturally, you've got the aluminum unibody design, so they put that structure, that structural integrity built into this thing. You've got the camera plateau, as they call it, up top, which honestly is not that big of a difference in terms of the overall footprint. If I'm being honest, I thought it was going to be a lot more just like in your face, but it's not bad, and I actually kind of like it. There's one thing that I think I actually liked more than other people did. I saw a lot of people kind of trashing on the camera bump, but I like it coming all the way across. I think it looks a little bit more uniform. And then you have the glass cutout there for the wireless charging. And so this phone, yes, it's still the same footprint as we've been used to. Phones can't really change much, if I'm being honest, than what they already are. But this is definitely the first time that Apple has branched out in a while. And if I'm being honest, I actually do like the design, the full glass back with the polished sides a little bit more than this design. That's just my honest opinion. Is this bad? No, I actually, it's grown on me quite a bit, but I do think I like the more premium look. Like it looks more premium, the older designs that they've had. And that's not necessarily a bad or a good thing. It just kind of depends on what you want. I think what Apple is going to do is they've experimented with the Air lineup, and I think a lot of people are saying that the Air is not going to come back. I think a version of the Air is going to come back, and that's going to be the more premium looking device, if you will, the more luxurious, rather. That's a more correct word for it. Whereas their Pro lineup is going to kind of keep this Swiss Army knife look, if that makes sense. It's kind of what I foresee Apple doing in the future. And then you have the standard 17 acting as just like the meet in the middle device for everybody out there. But is the design bad? No, I think people overreacted on the design, or at least some. I've seen a mixed bag, but I actually do enjoy it quite a bit. And I enjoy this color a lot too. For some reason, the blue got hated on just right out the gate. And I actually think it's the best looking color, in my opinion, in terms of being the most just universal. Now the orange is cool, and I like, again, that Apple really branched out with that orange color on this new looking iPhone, and I hope they continue to do that. Orange, for me, at least that really bright, loud orange, I feel like would have gotten old for me, because I'm more just like, I like my things to be black, neutral, things like, I mean, that's just my personal opinion. And where the blue was was the closest thing to that. The white's pretty neutral as well, or the silver, but I do like pairing. I knew right off the gate I wanted to pair this with some kind of brown leather, which I have this bowl strap case here. And I mean, look at the combo of the two. That just looks, here you go, really good. Time will tell what Apple does with this design in the future, how they change it, or if they're going to stick with this for a while. I feel like they probably will stick with this for a while, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with new colors, if they change up the camera bump colors, I don't know. And the actual weight of the device is not bad at all. I know it's actually thicker and heavier than the previous phones, which is kind of the reverse of what phones have usually been doing. Other than the Air, obviously that's just like razor thin, but this device is chunkier than the previous Pro models, which there's a reason for that, and I'll get into that in the performance part of this video, but it's not heavier by a lot by any means. So you're really, if that's something you're worried about, you're not going to notice it at all. The thickness, are you going to notice the thickness? Not really. It feels like a phone in the hand. And the last thing I want to touch on the design and like the build of it is whatever Apple did with their screen. I feel like that is a topic that's not getting talked about enough, because this Ceramic Shield 2 screen, I have not had a single screen protector on this device in over 3 months so far, and I'm going to try to display. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it to pick up here, but if you can see with that reflection, there's not a single scratch or nick on this screen yet, which is insane. At this point, usually I have some kind of small scratch by either a key or something in my pocket. And I'm pretty careful with my devices overall. I know like the S25 Ultra, I didn't rock a screen protector with that either. And I did have a handful of scratches and nicks here and there a few months in. This, and usually on my previous iPhones too, it's always a few months in, you have some kind of scratch because I don't like using screen protectors. This screen, there is not a single scuff, scratch, or nick anywhere, which is awesome in my opinion. Like I said, I don't see many people talking about how good Ceramic Shield 2 is, but it is phenomenal. And I have dropped this phone a couple times. I mean, I'll be honest, and I actually just dropped it before I hit record for this video. So whatever Apple has done with Ceramic Shield 2, I hope they continue to improve upon that. And I know they will, but that is a huge upgrade. Going from the 16 to this one is, in my opinion, depending on who you are, that alone is probably worth it. Okay, so let's talk about iOS 26. That was the software that they launched with the 17 Pro line, and they included their new liquid glass design. Me personally, I love the liquid glass design. I love iOS 26. It has been miles ahead of where iOS 18 was in terms of just fluidity, functionality, and glitchiness. I've only had like a couple lags here and there, and I haven't had my phone just randomly reboot on me. That was becoming so common on my iPhone 15, but this one continues to function and work like it should. And not to mention, they actually fixed the Photos app. Thank God. Another quality of life improvement for me was they fixed the phone app as well, because you used to, if you were in your recents, if you just tapped on someone, it was a one tap and they'd immediately call. So if you were on the phone with someone and then you went to go hang up, but the person that you were on the line with hangs up before you and their screen goes away, you'd tap someone in your recents and you'd accidentally call them. It happened all the time with me. But now, thankfully, Apple has fixed that to where if you tap someone, it takes you into their screen and then you can choose to call them from there. But if you still want a one-tap call function, you add someone to your favorites on top and you can just tap their bigger profile there and you've got your one-tap call. So that was a pretty big quality of life improvement, as well as many other little things. Like I said, I'm not going to get into too many of the details, but so far, iOS 26 has been pretty good for me, and it's been a lot better than iOS 18. I think Apple knocked it out of the park with liquid glass, and I hope they continue to improve upon that and take that into the future, because I do think that it looks really good, and I think there's more opportunity to pair that with design. Like, I think it looks really good paired with the Air, like having that luxurious feel, to whereas with the 17 Pro line, like if I'm being honest, it doesn't mesh fully in terms of like some hardware software synthesis where it all just like works. I mean, it looks good, but I feel like you take that luxurious design away out of the Pro line and it just doesn't really add up. I don't know. That's just like my own personal opinion. But the main thing that matters is that the software actually just functions the way it's supposed to. And I'm a big fan of that. It just feels a lot more fluid, like I said, and a lot more optimized. And speaking of optimization, the battery life is miles ahead of really any mobile device I've had. Again, Apple really just leaned into this being kind of like I said, a Swiss Army knife of phones, and being very performance heavy. They put a giant battery in this thing, and they also added a vapor chamber for extra cooling. So you pair those together and you're getting insane battery life out of this thing. And I don't think I've had this thing once get hot in my hand. Like this, the vapor chamber works on this phone. Again, I don't do mobile gaming or anything like that, so I haven't tested that out. I'm sure it throttles a little bit, but in terms of just day-to-day, especially like scrolling social media, watching videos, and then like I said, photo editing, that would always heat up my previous phones anytime I did that in Lightroom, or any photo editing app for that matter. But this device stays cool and it performs very great in terms of as I'm editing photos or watching videos, I don't have any lag or anything like that come up. Not to mention it charges really quick too. You are getting up to 40 watts with a wired charger, so that'll take you from 0 to 50% in around 20 minutes or so. And then you're also getting 25 watts with wireless charging, which is really nice. I have yet to have a time with this device where I'm scrambling to try to find a charger so I can complete a task or something because my battery's so low. I don't think that I've gotten below 10% with this device, which is crazy. And the last thing I want to touch upon is the camera. This thing has been a phenomenal little device to use for capturing media, both photo and video alike. 48 megapixels on the back of the device on all three lenses, and an 18 megapixel front-facing camera with that square sensor, so you can actually crop horizontally, vertically, without having to shift your hand. So lots of great improvements on the camera for this device, especially that 48 megapixel wide angle has been a ton of fun to use. But this is truly one of the first phones that I've had that I feel like I've got a little mini camera, like full-on camera in my pocket. I took it all over the place, from Nashville to Washington, D.C. to Mexico to Baltimore. And every single time that I used it, when I pulled it out of my pocket to capture something, I would look down and I would start editing the photos later. And I'm like, man, this looks really good. Now, I've said it before, and this is just my opinion, but I do think Apple has one of the best camera systems out there for mobile photography. I have not used any of the like Vivo phones or anything like that. I know there's some really insane cameras on some of those phones out there, but in terms of just ease of use, functionality, and post-processing, I think Apple does some of the best, if not the best out there. Some of these cameras are getting very overly processed with the AI functions that they have built into them. And even on the Samsung S25 Ultra that I had, I noticed that a little bit, especially in the darker shots. It would definitely overcompensate with AI or just generating what it thinks should go there, to whereas Apple does a pretty good job at keeping it clean. Now there is post-processing, you can tell with some of the photos, but not near as bad, and it doesn't change up like hardly anything. It will leave what is there. It will just try to either smooth it or add more detail. It's not just going to generate something completely different. And that's something that I've been appreciating about using the camera on this device, and something I just appreciate about Apple as a whole. Really specifically love how Apple handles highlights as well, and just balancing their images. We're starting to finally see contrast kind of be left in, to where you're not getting some just flat image. Everything is the same brightness, everything's in focus. That's kind of what phones like to do, and that's what Apple was doing for a while. But specifically with the 17 Pro lineup so far, I've noticed they're actually leaving some contrast in there, and they're actually letting like the photos live a little bit, and they're actually a blast to edit. And you have a decent amount of room to crop in on some of these, with them being 48 megapixel sensors. And I mean, it's not the same as a full frame or APS-C size 48 megapixel sensor. I mean, these sensors on these phones are tiny in comparison, but you do still have a decent amount of room to crop in, and you have some room to kind of tell whatever story you want with the composition you got. Whether you're trying to crop something out or frame something completely different entirely. It's fun. I've been having fun messing with these photos, taking photos, editing them. It's been a blast. And so, I mean, if you're a photographer, or if you lean heavy into the photography, videography side of using your smartphone, this is definitely some of the most fun I've had using a phone camera, and I think you will probably agree as well. So here we are, a little over 3 months later. We're into 2026. There's all kinds of devices that are going to launch this year, I'm sure, but was it worth it? Did I think that Apple nailed it? And do I think it's worth an upgrade to the 17 Pro Max or the 17 Pro lineup in general? Yes, absolutely. I've been honestly blown away with this device so far, and everything that I had an issue with from my 15 Pro, Apple has addressed. And I think Apple has gotten the message that everyone's kind of just fed up with these little upgrades here and there every single year. This felt like a significant jump. Apple has actually packed in a decent performance boost in this device, and I think it's definitely worth it. Now, comparing it to the S25 Ultra, am I glad that I went back to Apple? I'll save that for another video. But for now, that is it for this, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope I was able to add some information for you, some value if you're kind of on the brink of upgrading your phone, if you're looking at the 17 Pro Max line or even just the 17 line, whether it's worth it or not. That's my opinion on it. I think it's a great device. I think it's worth an upgrade no matter where you're coming from. I'm also just in the boat that you might as well upgrade each year. That's what I will probably do. I used to do 2 years, but at this point, I like tech. I like seeing what new camera systems they put into these things, and that's just me. As for yourself, that is your decision to make, but hopefully I was able to offer you some information to help you decide one way or the other. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you had a wonderful 2025, and I hope you have a wonderful 2026. But that is enough watching, enough consuming content, guys. Go out there and create something yourself. Start that channel, make those videos. It's a new year, and there's plenty of opportunity. I will see you all in the next video.